So I look at all the panelists and I imagine I'm the big father in the room. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, good.
So
okay. Anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself? How long have you been at TC for? Can you hear me?
So I've been at TC for about 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years now. Yeah. So yeah, still
Okay.
about the
Oh, so
baby,
that's
the youngest.
Sorry, I can't hear you properly. Can you hear me?
I'm still about the youngest member of the panel, youngest father, and also the youngest member of TC, clocking just 3 years. So
Oh, good. Thanks. This is me thinking I was the youngest. Okay, thank you, Deji. Okay, now we would want Deacon Laulu can please introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Laulu Adeyeye. I have worshipped at Trinity Chapel for just over 5 years now. I'm married, blessed with 3 boys, and that's me. Thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, nice to meet you. And then the father of the house, PY in the house. Hello, PY. Are you going to introduce yourself? Yes.
Yes. My name is Yemi Ojisholu. I have the privilege of being the pastor of Trinity Chapel, and I've been a member of TC for a little shy of 20 years now.
Wow. Oh, that's good. That's good. So now we're going to ask you loads of questions, and don't forget, as you join, welcome on. Quite a few people have joined. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please don't hesitate to ask us questions. If you have any questions for us, you can put your hands up, or you can type it in the chat box as well. So the panelists have introduced themselves, and I'm here. I'm Yemi Lesisi, and I'm going to host this lovely edition. So now we have a few questions that we would ask the panelists. So what we want to ask is, how does your experience, expectations, and culture and faith impact your fatherhood? So I would start with Deji this time, because I think, as Deji stated, him and I are one of the youngest here. So I would like him to now please tell me, what are your expectations, your experiences, and your expectations altogether? Can you hear me, Deji?
So, yeah, I can hear you. I mean, I've only been a father for 2.5 years, really. So, full of expectations.
That's not only.
Well, compared to 15 years, or maybe compared to PY or MOA, yeah, definitely it's only, yeah. But so I'll probably have more expectations than experiences. So I mean, expectation is to be a good father. Expectation is to raise a good daughter, a kind person, someone with general common sense, smart in school, good with sports and things like that. Things that I probably could not do that she's able to do. So generally, those are expectations, right? Doesn't fall sick as often. And so for,
do you want to mute?
My cards here, but it doesn't matter next time.
Hold on, I'm just going to mute something. Lady Ara, do you want to mute yourself, please? Okay. All right then. Sorry, Deji. Sorry for that interruption.
Oh yeah, I was just rounding off. Just basically someone that all the things that I could not do, or things that I felt like I got from my own dad, things that I could pass on to my daughter. So those are my expectations of fatherhood, really.
Oh, good. Okay. And so what have you done to try and meet those expectations? There's a different thing expecting something, but you also have to do something to expect that. So what have you done to kind of expect all of that from your 2-year-old daughter?
In terms of what have I done? Well, it's really not just me, really. It's more myself and Dami really working together and trying to raise someone that is kind and respectful, because respect is very important to us. Someone that is very we let her speak and we let her express herself as much as possible. We also teach her to be kind and tolerant of other people. Because I mean, as much as I know that we're Christians, but also we live in a country that is very, very, very multicultural, there are different kind of perspectives, try to let her understand these perspectives as much as possible before they start teaching her somewhere else. And also know that whether or not you agree or not, you have to be tolerant of these people.
Yes, that's
but correct. This is who we are, and this is who we are not, to So things like that, these two things like that.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Oh, well done. Yes, I like the fact that you're going to get to her before other people at school get to her. Yes. So your foundation makes a huge difference. So thanks on that. Yeah. So over to you, Laulu. What's your take on that?
Can I crave your indulgence to repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yes, yes, I can. Of course, I can. It just says, what does your experience, expectations, culture, and faith impact? How does it impact your fatherhood?
Thank you. You just asked me to write a thesis. It
is, isn't it? An epistle.
I've been married for 19 years, and I'm blessed with 3 boys. The oldest of them is 18, and I also have a 16-year-old. So my experience has been a journey. Expectations are usually formed from experience and from perspective which we have come to shape over time and exposure. And particularly in this day and age, those expectations can very quickly become outdated. Mm-hmm. And how do you then bring that into now without putting undue pressure on your kids? Mm-hmm. So I try to be open-minded. I try to inform myself on what's going on, but my faith is the bedrock of my expectation and what I try to pass to the boys. My faith, along with my wife, is fundamental to everything. It's fundamental to our expectations, and to ensure that the children and ourselves are aligned, we also carry them along on that faith journey, and then it becomes easier. Our boys have also had substantial exposure to 2 cultures, because they grew up partly in Nigeria and partly in the UK, which kind of makes it slightly easier for us to communicate with them, because they understand where we're coming from, and then we can build on that. So all of these 4 elements come together. Expectations are shaped by our own experience, whilst we try to balance that with modern realities, providing spiritual guidance, whilst not allowing them to over-modernize. Can I use the word like that?
No, sorry, we understand. We get the gist.
Yeah, I'll just stop there so I don't take too much time.
Oh, well, I like the fact that you remind me of me, because that means your children have the best of both worlds. So in the sense that, some of us were born here, taken back to Nigeria, learned the culture, no respect, know a lot of things, and then brought back. So, so we have both, unlike some of our children that are just purely born here. So has that made it easier? Because obviously they know the culture, they know respect. But when they come there, when they moved here, was there a big change? At what age did they move back to England? So I'm thinking, did they move back as teenagers, or did they move back as...
Yeah. So my oldest didn't move here. He's 18 now. He moved there just over 5 years ago. So he was
okay. So he was a teenager 12, then. Yeah.
He was 12, and my second one was 11.
11. Okay.
He came in at 7, so he did years 1 to 6 in Nigeria.
Okay.
So that's it's not a conversation. He will see an older person and would curtsy as appropriate.
Curtsy. Good. Yes.
Would help her home. And again, that's another journey. That's different, because the lifestyle in Nigeria to here, again, very different. A lot of support. Here there is no support. They've got to be hands-on at home. So I in answering your question, I'll say we believe it's been easier. Okay. We believe it's easier because we've interacted with families whose children have never lived in Nigeria, and we've seen well, and we believe it's easier, and we recognize in them that we are blessed because we don't have to labor as much to pass the message across. A glance communicates very effectively with my son in public, and I wouldn't have to repeat myself twice.
Good. Okay, I think that sounds a bit like me, even though my kids, obviously, they've been born here, but I let them know that when you're in the house, this is Lagos, Nigeria. Once you step out, it's in England, but on here, and they will say, when we're 18, we can do this. I said, no, here is 21. When you're 21, you can do it, because in Nigeria, we're adults when we're 21. So yes, well done. So PYO. So we're coming to you now with that same question. You have 2 adults.
Yes, I do.
Yes, and then you like Laolu as well. The kids came here when they were at a certain age. How old were they when they came?
Damola was 6 and Tofumi was 3.
Ah, and how old are they now?
Damola is 30 now and Tofumi is 27.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in many respects, Damola actually can understand the language. She picked up a bit more of a culture.
Mm-hmm.
Tofumi, no clue. Tofumi came almost like like brand new.
Yeah, he was a baby.
To work. But in trying to answer the question and not go on and on, I think for me, 2 things were critical. I only became close to my father well into adulthood. We were not close when I was growing up. Oh. And in the culture of those days, parents saw themselves not as aiming to be their child's friend, but more train their child, train with emphasis more on the discipline than anything else. But in the midst of all of that, I saw his heart and I knew that there was genuine love there, And so raising my children, I was determined to avoid the mistakes that I made. And very deliberately, especially as they got into teen years, I would find myself having a dialogue with myself first. I say, when I was a teenager, what did I like? What didn't I like? And I'm very mindful. Why not taking anything away? Obviously, there was a foundation, pretty much like Laolu said, where there's accountability, there's respect, there's appreciation of the African culture. But then layering on top of that, I hopefully seems to have managed engaging with them better than I was engaged with.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, it's good. I think with our parents, we were seen and not heard. And I remember when I heard my dad's car at the end of the road, everybody runs up and I'd be panting at my desk like I've been reading all day. I don't know why he believed I've been reading all day, but but he's not supposed to catch you downstairs watching TV. He's not supposed to catch you downstairs in the compound, let alone on the streets talking to anyone. You have to be in the house. So I guess, and then it was a very strict bringing up for a lot of us. So how do you think you have a better relationship? Like, are you friends with the children? I know that we say we're not your friends, we're your parents, but we try and instill a bit of friendship because in this country, we want them to come to us to tell us things. We want them to tell us everything, how they're feeling, no matter what, whether they pass exams, whether they don't pass, we want to be there. So how did you try and change? Because it's different when you're brought up a certain way and then now you're in that shoes. How did you do that?
Frankly, I'm still not even sure that I have completely crossed that bridge. Because I think we do try and keep a balance here. And I think I'll safely say PJ is probably the first go-to.
Okay.
To discuss more intensely personal things. But they do know that I'm available. They do know that I'm there. I would typically strike up a conversation with either or both of them, and we could talk about anything. So I'm not unapproachable, but I wouldn't flatter myself to think they see me as their friend. I think they probably see their mom as their friend more than they do me. But as they're growing older, because they're now adults, those lines are becoming less defined and chat and have a laugh. I take them to dinner, for example.
That's good.
It's dinner one-on-one. My son and I will have a chat one-on-one. So we do have a relationship.
Yeah, that's good. And then what's on that? I'd like to ask you a question. Do you think sometimes if you're a bit too strict on the children, do you think they grow up to have a bit of resentment? Because I think because from what, with a lot of us growing up, our parents were extremely strict, some very strict, some extremely strict, some were laid back. My father-in-law was very laid back, but, it was very rare. Most of our fathers, they were very strict. But I've noticed that when the children grow up, especially the boys, there's either there's a friction or there's a bit of resentment, or they think, I think that was too harsh on me. I mean, what do you think, PY, about that? Do you think men are harsher on boys than they are on girls? I'm coming back to you, Deji, because I know you've got a little girl. So I would like to know what the balance is. Do you think they're harsher on boys than they are on girls?
I think we sort of want to set our boys right, and it is necessary and important to do. I think my first responsibility is to impart in my son everything that will make him a responsible man. That's my first responsibility. The friendship can come if we get the benefit. If it doesn't, that's not the objective.
Yeah.
And that is actually earned, if you like. There were times when, especially maybe late teens, when I actually would be quite firm with him and set him right.
Yeah.
But as he imbibed those lessons, and I realized that he had accepted and become the kind of man I want him to be, then I slackened on the rules and regimen up to now, where he can pretty much say and be anything he wants, really, because it's ended and there's confidence now.
Okay. So the foundation is solid. You've done your job. Now you can relax.
I think there's some people in your waiting room. I don't know if someone wants to.
I'm sure. No, it's okay. I'm sure Eunice or KJ will let them in. Okay, Deji, I'm coming back to you. You've got a cute 2.5-year-old. Can you hear me, Deji? You're on mute. You're on mute. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right then. So I'm coming to you because you've got a 2-year-old, 2.5, that's very cute. So how do you, because in as much as they're cute, somebody said they're very cute. Yes, I can imagine her being very cute, but you need to be firm. You're not going to let that smile deceive you. So how do you go about saying no? No is no. You know, there's a smile saying no, and then there's no. So how do you, I know you say she's just 2.5, but that's, you have to start from when they're very young. So as they grow up, they know dad is this. So are you the strict one that says no? Or does your heart melt when you see her and then you let her get, from your smile, I'm sure you let her get away with a lot.
So whatever does not harm her, whatever does not, if she's engaging, if she's playing and she's not doing something that's dangerous to her,
yeah,
if she's not being disrespectful to others,
that's correct.
and if she's basically, right, anything outside of that, she can actually have it.
Okay.
That's the simple answer.
All right. I'll have this maybe in the next year or two when you have your boy. We'll have this session again and make sure you say the same thing about the boy.
That means listening, right? There is no.
That means listening.
I personally don't have any plans to have a boy, quite frankly.
Okay. Okay. We shall, in another year or two, we'll have this conversation again. So I'm coming back to Lalu, who has not one, not two, but you have 3 boys. So how do you handle being a father of 3 boys? And I'm sure they all have 3 different personalities as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good thing that I don't have a daughter, actually.
You'd be like, did you, right?
It would have been like blank check, just do it, whatever makes you smile. I would have been totally helpless.
Sorry, just to interrupt. Deji makes the mom look like a bad cop because so he's a good cop. All right, go ahead, Laulu.
Yeah, with the boys, even the youngest one who's 10, going 11, okay. I have to be many things.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be a military dictator. I have to be a football coach.
Okay.
A motivational speaker.
Wow.
And like PYO said, that part about being the friend and the go-to chit-chat person.
That's down the line.
I let their mom do that. I do it in my own way. I'll take them on a drive, might take one on a trip, we can just bond and all of that. I will do those things. But when it comes to defining the lay of the land and guidance, family, I'm totally responsible for that, because ultimately, my office as a man and as the head of the home is ultimate responsibility for how they turn out. And I let them know that. And I very often remind them as well, one day you're going to have this job that I'm doing. You're going to be raising the next generation.
That's right.
You've seen what my dad has done with me. And one of them said to me, my oldest one said to me 2 or 3 days ago, we were discussing my life in university. I came from Nigeria at 20, went to school here and all of that. And I was working and going to school and doing all of these things. He said, Dad, you really did all of this. that means you would not accept any excuses. I said, no, none.
Yeah.
He said, you're way too high. I said, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I said to him, look, my dad is not here now. I've got you three and your mom, and I have responsibility for 4 human beings. One day you're in those shoes, and excuses would not be acceptable.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it, and it works.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Well done. You seem to be doing a very good job. Well, another thing I'd like to know is, what are the challenges, or what are the pressures of fatherhood? I know you've told me what you all implement, trying to implement, what you're trying to instill in the children, but what keeps you up at night? What worries you, Lauli? What do you think? How do I do this? What keeps you up? What are the pressures? Is it drugs? Is it drugs? Is it alcohol? Is it women? Is it girls? Because obviously, as I told my son, I know my son is only 13, but I told him, if you're going to ask a girl out or talk to a girl, please ask for her name and check her age, and check her birth certificate, because you see young girls, like, very young girls dressed up much older than their age. They're so much in a hurry to get up, and, you go to them and you approach them and you find out they're like 14, and you can get into so much trouble. So what are the things, is this one of the things that keep you up at night, and or things that you're trying to let the boys know that you need to be careful, things that you need to really instill in them and let them know that they really need to be careful about that?
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, none of these issues will keep me up at night.
Oh.
Because my approach is one of, they are children that have come to this world through me. They're not really I'm a caretaker for God.
That's
right?
Correct.
And I've just got this responsibility for this window. That's the way I look at it. And all of those issues, they are, we discuss them.
Okay.
I see that, I observe them as well when they're not watching me. I want to see how they interact and what their understanding is of those issues. So drugs, alcohol, and all of that, even girls, they're not things I worry about for them. I will be concerned about the general direction the world is going and how they interact with that trend.
Yeah.
When I'm not there, and when they get to 21 and 22 and they get their first job, and the people around them, 1 or 2 people have alternative lifestyles, how will they be able to balance their background, their faith, their perspective in life with a society that is not so perfect? Those kind of things, because the world they're going into is totally different from what we have. But all of those other things, I believe that by the grace of God, we have shown them the way to go, and that they would remain in it. People often say that pastors' children never this and that, and they do this and that. My father's been a pastor since I was a child. I grew up in the church. I've been in the Redeemed Christian Church of God all of my life for over 40 years. So, and I have never left the church. I've never found something missing that I needed to go and find in drugs or alcohol. And I don't think it's going to be a problem for children who are properly exposed, properly grounded in faith, and they will be fine.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking, I was just thinking, do you think there's a lot of pressure on pastors' kids, Pastor Yemi? I'm going to draw you in here now. I know you're one of them, Deacon Alu, but do you think there's a bit more pressure, even when they see the pressure, more pastor, should you be doing that? So they're not pastors, but they're pastors' children, so they're different. So do you think there's a lot, I'm going to start with you, Lalu, do you think was there a lot of pressure on you, or you are one of the good ones?
There's pressure and there is no pressure. There's pressure of expectations around you, like, as a pastor's child, you should be well behaved.
Yeah.
But not what you are when you are around the people that know you. Do you have enough content in you that when you are not in the environment where you are known as a pastor's child, that you become something else? Are you building an alternative personality away from the view of people who know your parentage and your lineage? Do you know what I mean? So do you have content in you to really want to? I give my life to Christ as a teenager. My father was not sitting beside me. My mother was not sitting behind me. I heard the message. Someone and I felt it touched me. And I started to walk this, this walk and try to change my life and turn things around, even from that young age. And I'm still work in progress. We're still working at it. But it was a decision I made. And I believe that if God helps us to get our children to that point where they are able to, on their own, make a decision and follow a path, there's no pressure. They will be fine.
Oh, wow. Oh, amazing. That's good. So, Pastor Yemi, I know you have 2 adults. You don't have, you don't have young children. You have 2 adults. Do you think at some point they went through, the pastor's children, so they had a lot of pressure on them, and the expectations were, what people expected of them were a bit more?
Okay. I remember that my pastor's children, we're talking about parish pastor now, where they're actually like in glass houses, as against them being children of people who were ministers. So they've been in church all their lives because we've been ministers all their lives. But yes, when it comes to being pastors, and I'd like to piggyback on that question about what keeps me awake, but coming to this first, I think what we've managed to do well is to ensure that they're grounded, is to give them their space, is to not place, we're the ones who are called to ministry, not them. And so we don't place the demand of ministry on them, but we place the demand of how we have raised them on them. The lines are not necessarily blurred. So I don't kid myself. I'm on Zoom, and I bet they might listen or they might be around. I don't kid myself that they aren't up to 1 or 2 things. I'm well aware that they are. But then within the boundaries of what is acceptable and what does not cut into those areas where they will bring shame or disgrace to either the ministry or to the family. And then you got to know your children. There are no 2 children are the same.
No, that's correct.
So if one is privileged to be raising children who are so balanced, like Laulu was describing, then to God be the glory. But you cannot, it's not a broad brush. Okay. Every child is different. And the onus is on the parents, in this case, the father, to raise your child understanding their personality and who they are.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that's good.
Dovetailing very quickly back to what keeps me
what keeps you up at night, Pastor? Yes.
Remember I said that I try to raise my children not making the mistake my parents made with me. And one of the biggest ones was that I would never forget growing up that I used to make a dash to get home before 9 o'clock news. NTA news, once that drumming sound.
Yes, I remember that.
I'm in trouble. And many a time I'm around loose. And when that's going on, I mean, that, for those who know the Arab, where there's a Hausa community, that's about where I am. And I know I'm in trouble already because that's nights out time. And I didn't like it. It made me leave home once I started working. So when it came to raising my children, made it clear that they've earned their right to go out, do what they want to do, or be accountable. But it keeps me awake at night. Awake because while I want them to exercise that freedom, I'm also not unaware of the world in which we live in. I'm also not unaware of the dangers that are out there. But I have to balance that with wanting them to live their lives. And so I'm awake until I hear the door open and close, and I don't let them know that I've been anxious, but I have been anxious.
Oh, that's a good admission. I like that. It's usually the women that always have, awake waiting for the children to come.
PJ just sleeps off. She's I don't know whether it's
PJ.
I don't know whether it's what is driving her or whatever. She doesn't even bother. I will stay awake until I hear the door open many times.
Oh wow.
Or when I wake up, I'll rush to go and check the car park and make sure the car is there. Then I can be at
wow. PJ, I can see PJ.
That's my take on it.
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Okay, I can see we've got a couple of chats on here that says, okay, Mayowa says there is plenty of pressure. Some of us had very terrible. Oh, wow. Would you like to share? Is Mayowa on there? Would you like to share your experience with us? I'm not sure if my wife is still on. It would be nice to hear. I think, some of us have very terrible, I think that's so not fair. But it'd be nice to hear what's happened and what your experience was. Let us know if you want to put up your hand and have a chat. And then it says we don't place the demand of ministry on them. That's the children. But the demand, hold on, how we were raised. Oh yeah, that's PYO's one. Yeah, that's good. Oh, my brother Dakwa says, I'm showing my age by that NTA News. Yes, we all know the NTA News one. Oh, that's good. And Sister Tunde says she stays awake too. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, my wife's here. My wife, do you want to talk? Do you want to unmute yourself? Oh, okay. Mr. Yemi Johnson says, I grew up with no pressure. Oh, good. Oh, hello.
Hi,
I
sorry.
can't see you. Can I see you? No, that's okay.
My wig is off.
No, don't worry. Oh, yeah, don't worry. No, so it's okay. You can turn it off. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Good. I'd really like to know your experience. We would all like to know your experience.
I had many unpleasant experiences. I basically grew up as a pastor's kid all my life.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is a redeemed pastor in Newcastle. And I will say growing up, I just thank God for giving me loving parents and me and my siblings loving parents. But some of the trauma that we experienced from church members and the expectations they placed on us, we're still recovering from it. And it's a huge burden for me, for other pastors, especially young pastors' children. It's unrealistic expectations that people don't place on their children. They basically were projecting on us. For example, being in the choir didn't seem like it was enough. I was in the choir from a very, very young age. And starting off the ministry in Newcastle, it was me and my sister in the choir and my brother on the drums. And we will have times where they would have, I remember very, very vividly one horrible experience I had. I went swimming with my friends and I was probably about 15 years old at the time. And we went swimming, just school kids. And I wasn't even in a bikini. I was wearing like shorts and my bikini top was a top. It wasn't a bikini. And it was one of my friends that posted a picture of literally innocent young girls at the pool. And she posted it on Facebook at the time. And someone must have been stalking me or my friend. And I remember after service on a particular Sunday, they basically said all workers to stay behind, that they wanted to have a meeting with workers and pastor, and the children too should wait behind. And next thing I know, my picture was printed out and they were handing it out to church members, people as they were walking out the door, as church members were walking out the door saying, look at your pastor's daughter. I was 15 years old. And they were handing these things out and they were saying, and then they said, we need to speak to pastor because clearly pastor cannot control his children. How can he come and speak to us about, the word of God? When look at his daughter. And my dad literally got up and he said, if this doesn't stop now, this is a crime and he will report it to the police that I'm a minor and they're spreading my picture around. In that same meeting, they were saying, we should be dressed in a way that our skirts is it should be maxi skirts. They shouldn't see our elbows because now I can laugh about it, but it was extremely traumatic going through that as a 15-year-old. And that was one of the ugly stories. I have many stories and we could be here all night, but that's one that I would never, ever forget in my life. So I understand that it's not everyone that has that story, but there are more than, and I even have pastors' kids that don't even speak to their parents anymore, don't go to their parents' churches. I'm grateful that my parents protected me and my siblings as best as they could, but there were some pastors that just kept quiet and allowed it to happen. And today they don't have a relationship with their kids. Today they don't have a relationship with their children. So, I know for some of us, we might be able to say there's no pressure, but for some, there's actually quite a lot. And I feel like that's why when some pastors' children find freedom, say they go to uni, they completely lose their way. Honestly, it was God that kept me and my sister, even one of my brothers, like when he got his freedom, it took prayers to bring him back. And a few years ago, when we're having a heart-to-heart with my dad, it was like he opened up about the trauma he experienced growing up in the church and what people did to us and what people said to us. So there's a lot of pastors' children out there that are really struggling.
Oh, wow. How can they print your picture and be giving it out? That's illegal. That is so illegal. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But the good thing about it is that you had your parents that were supportive and, you know, they had your back and your dad stood up for you, which was very good. Oh, wow. That sounds really, really traumatic. But look at you. You turned out well and you're doing amazingly well. Thank you so much for sharing, Maiwa. Thank you. We've got another namesake of ours that has his hand up. Can we unmute you?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh,
Hello,
good
namesake.
evening. Yes, hi, Yemi. Good evening, everybody. Well done,
Evening.
Yemi. You're doing a
Thank
good job
you.
as a compare. Yeah, I
Oh,
just wanted
thank
to
you.
share my experience in the sense that I grew up as the only male child in a house of 3 ladies. And I also have, well, 4 if you count my mom. And I also have 2 daughters as well. So in a sense, I've been used to be the only male. Growing up, okay, well, the main point I want to make is that for me, in terms of raising my girls, I look back on my own experience in the sense that my mom was quite strict, but my dad, on the other hand, was very liberal. But he also set you clear boundaries and expectations. So firstly, he never laid his hands on any one of us. He allowed me to go out, stay out late, do anything, you know, even borrow his car to go out and pick up my girlfriends. But he had expectations in terms of what he's always drummed into me was you can be anything you want to be positively. But don't ever cheat yourself by doing less than you can. And that's what I've learned, and that's what I try and pass on to my children. I don't it didn't pressure me to, you must have a first class and all that, but they always said, you have the capacity. Always give everything 100%. And if you can look at yourself in the mirror and know that you've done your best, then that's what this world demands. Now, in terms of raising my own girls, I think obviously, as you would probably guess from what I've said now, I'm probably the laid back one. My wife sometimes thinks I'm too laid back. And sometimes she even thinks I go overboard when I'm being strict. You know? But what I do try and pass on to them or try and keep in my mind is that I always believe that as a parent, you have to give your children room in the sense that you must always know that they will at some point not meet your own expectations because it's just natural. Kid will always, they will do things that disappoint you that you don't think they should have done. It's natural part of growing up.
Yeah,
when I say give room, not necessarily saying that, that's all right for you to do, but always have that at the back of your mind so that it allows you to maintain perspective on the issue and guide them the right way. And I think the second thing is always make them believe that they can be the best and that they must not cheat themselves by giving less than 100% to anything. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my namesake. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Another question that I have again is, what did you learn from your own father? I'll give this to Deji. What did you learn from your father to do? Or what did you learn from your father that your father was doing that you would like to instill in your daughter? Or does PYO have his hand up?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, Pierre, I didn't see that. Okay, yes. Oh, sorry, if I go to Deji. Go, Pierre, you can go. Go ahead.
I just felt the need to say something to what Maiwa shared.
Yeah.
In many respects, thank you, Maiwa, for opening up and sharing that with us. And I just wanted to say that it doesn't even have to be just pastors. Society can sometimes place unrealistic expectations on our children. They are our children. We have responsibility for them, and we know how best to raise them. And so thank God Maiwa healed and turned out all right. Many from that kind of experience actually completely walk away from the faith, and they'll be baby mamas right now and all kinds of things and all of that.
Yeah.
Thank God that she stayed on the straight and narrow. But there are two lessons in there. One is for every one of us, there's a limit to how much you can engage with the children of other people. You don't live in their house, you don't know you don't know their context. And so to place this judgment upon other people's children is most unfair. And when they do make those, if they do make those sorts of demand of our children, we must rise up and defend them. You can come back in house and quarrel with your child, but out there, you stand for your child. You don't want someone damaging your child for you, and they have no consequence to their action. So thank God that my one and her siblings navigated that with the help of my parents and everybody. But it's most unfair, most tragic, and sad. Let's say as my final sentence on this, that it is predominant in the traditional classical.
That's correct.
Where piety translates into their own standards. Yeah. Thankfully, that's not the kind of church we are, and everybody knows that. And we're not the kind of community we have. And we actually literally had to stamp it out. We had to insist, don't do that. Don't place those kind of demands on people. And God will continue to help us. But let's be on the lookout for things like that.
Amen. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Pastor Yemi. I think Deacon Dapo had his hand up. I'm not sure if he's changed his mind. Deacon Dapo, are you there? Okay, I'm not sure if he's still there. I'll wait for him to put his hands up again.
Yes.
Oh, you are.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Hello, Deacon
For some
Dapo.
reason, I was playing with trying to unmute myself. Thank you very much, Mayowa, for what you shared with us today. It takes a lot of guts to be able to do that. We really appreciate that. I'm going back to the question you asked, Yemi, in terms of the impacts our dad had on us. My dad was very strict, very, very strict. And he was a very principled man. He's late now, but there was one thing I learned from him and I will never forget. And I think I've shared it when I give sessions on finance for the premarital guidance program, in terms of when he told me one day, said, son, never you eat with your 10 fingers. My dad was a serial entrepreneur, and I got that from him. I remember my dad stopped working 9 to 5 at the age of 40. At the age of 40. And I thought to myself, how can someone do this? But he was a very comfortable man, and he really loved his children. And what I'm trying to say here is, I've started to toe the line of my father. And one other thing was, I have 2 girls. I can't call them girls anymore now, they're ladies. One is 20, going to be 21 in the next couple of months, and the other one is 17. I try as much as possible now to have a conversation with them. I make sure that they talk to me. One thing I realized is our environment plays a major role in how we're shaped. Coming from Nigeria, I could not have a meaningful conversation with my dad. To sit down and my dad will say something and I want to respond to him. I must be kidding then. So this environment has really shaped me, and I'm still work in progress. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a finished article, but I have regular conversation with my girls now. I speak to them as if I'm speaking to my friend to some extent. So I'm just saying this just to help those that are having Deji, this is for you.
yes.
Just to encourage the rest as well. It's not easy when you have grown-ups as children. But one thing I know for sure is with God on your side, nothing is impossible.
That's correct. Amen.
Thank you
That's
very
correct.
much.
Thank you so much, Deacon Dakwa. Thank you. Which brings me to my next question. I'd like to know what you feel, other men, what do you feel about motherhood? Because I know you're man, you're macho man. I remember I have a friend. She had a good job. She had a full-time good job, but her husband didn't at the time. But he didn't look for a job. He stayed at home to bring up the kids, took them to school, brought them back from school, gave them food, looked after the children. Children now are grown up. Now he's gone back to work. So, so what can you do that? Is it something that Yemi's laughing? Can you stop work to look after your children? Because you don't want au pairs to bring them up. You don't want nannies to bring them up. You don't want the nursery to bring them up. You don't want grandma and grandpa to bring them up. You want to be hands-on. So can you stay at home, stop your career, look after the children? Women can do that without batting an eyelid. So I would like to know if men can do it without feeling lesser than the woman. I'll see, I'm coming straight to you because you're not the father of two, you're the father of many. So I want to know if you can do that, stop work. And I know you had a very good job when you were in Nigeria, a really, really good job, but can you step back from that job just to concentrate on your family? Would you do that? I'm sure Pastor Jumoke would do that without even thinking twice.
And she did. And she
did, yes.
Because she had to suspend her career for a season just to spend time to raise the children, and then she went back and picked up a career. It's an interesting question, and here is my context to it. If I was going to give you a straight answer to a straight question, can you personally do it? The answer is a flat no.
Okay.
But I'm mindful of the fact of the generational gap and differences.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in the 80s, and I was raised in the 70s and 80s, and I grew up on the understanding that a man must provide for his family. A man must go out there and make it happen. And up until today, we don't discuss money matters in our house. We don't share bills. There's no, you do this, you do that. I just carry what I have to carry. Of course, PJ does what she can when she can. She chips in, she does whatever she wants to do. But I'll never sit down with her and say we're negotiating. But I'm willing to understand and accept that today's generation is different. We're now living in a time when there are women who are the significant earners. They're actually earning a lot more. And we also live in an age and time when if you don't manage your finances well, you'll be spending all of one person's salary on childcare.
That's correct.
So it's reasonable to not bring gender into it, and for the lower earner to actually now just be at home and let the higher earner go out. But that wasn't the case when I was growing up. So my standards are not today's standards. So I can understand the imperatives of today, but they're not the imperatives of when I was growing up, when I was raising children.
Okay. Thank you, PYO. Okay, Deji, is this something you can do?
I'm looking forward to it.
So that means it's something you can do. Oh, amazing.
Okay, but seriously, that's a very nonchalant answer. But seriously, right? Like Pastor Amy said very correctly, we are in a different era. We're in a different time when women have more, even more opportunities career-wise in terms of a career than even men. I went for an interview a couple of years ago, and I got to the CEO stage, right? And the CEO literally told me that if there is a woman that has the same qualification as you, you have to bring you have to be, how did you put it? You have to be 10 times better than she is for me to pick you, right? So basically, it's clear. And the organization I work for currently, it's basically once a man leaves, right? The backfield is most likely going to be a woman, right? And so, and I started seeing this trend a while ago, like sometime in maybe 2019, 2017-ish, I started telling like people that are close to me, I'm saying, if you're a woman, do not play with your career this period, because there'll probably be a 10-year gap, a 10-year timeline when it's all about going to be about women empowerment, and then it will change again. It will be the man's world again. But currently, it is the woman's world, and that's the world we am growing up in, and I'm raising my kids in, right? And to the point that am I willing to? So in 2020, last year actually, I read Indra Nui's book. And for if you've not read it, for a man, I think every man should read it, and everyone should read it. Really, it's called My Life in Full. You know, Indra Nui used to be the CEO of PepsiCo, and she basically talked about managing career and family and relationship and all that stuff, right, in her book. And she talked about the support she got from her parents, people, basic society around her while she was trying to raise her two daughters, right? And I realized that we are actually, and reading that book helped me because shortly after, Dami then got a new job, which was highly demanding. In the past, it used to be my job that was, for the first 2 years I was married, my job was the highly demanding one. All through COVID, I was always going to work. I'll work late into the night. My phone literally will keep buzzing every time. And then there was a switch, right? And then I also got offered a job where to take more responsibility on my current role, on my previous role, to take more responsibility, which would have meant traveling a bit more and stuff like that. Which in my head, I was thinking, if I'm doing this and also Dami is doing a high demanding job, it will really not work, right? So I was fortunate to also get another opportunity at the time, which meant I had to step back from a very highly demanding job that I really loved into something that was slower paced. I must say caveat, it paid more, but slower paced means I have to be at home a lot more. I can be at home a lot more. I can take the girls to nursery, I can bring her back and things like that.
That's correct. Yes, yes.
And I will not lie, even if it did pay more for the first couple of days, because I'm a person that works for the purpose of I actually enjoy working just for the purpose of working, right? Even that transition, if I felt if I did not read that book, right, that transition would have been very difficult for me. But reading that book opened my mind to the fact that if there is a woman in your life in this period, right, you should let her fly and not let her. So yeah, if and quite frankly, the most important thing to me now, perspective-wise, the most important thing to me is not a job, it's my family. So if I need to step back, as long as they get fed, if I need to step back and let Dami do, and obviously if it makes money, it makes sense, right? If she's earning twice the salary, and me, I'm earning, maybe she's earning say 12,000, I don't know, and me, I'm earning 5,000, and I need to be at home. I mean, there's really no sense, you know. I mean, no point.
Makes sense. Somebody has put in there. It makes sense, did you? Somebody said, I think Peter Basham says, if my wife is earning loads of dollars, please let me be doing household. There's honestly no shame in it. Honestly, because you're supporting your family, you're supporting your wife is doing this and you're looking after the children, and so you're not letting somebody else instill their own beliefs in your children. One of you are doing what you believe. So I really, I agree with that. Laulu, what do you think? Would you step back from your demanding job so that your wife can take over?
The straight answer is it's a no. I wouldn't.
That's fine.
I wouldn't readily do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm of the firm view that it's my duty as a man to provide.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
But again, I am also of the firm view that whilst providing, I should also support domestically. So I don't have a problem with looking after the kids from when they were young. I would bathe and dress them. I would help in the kitchen if I need to. I will shop for the house. It's not a problem. But I don't think I, as a person, is wired to just sit back and let my wife bring home the bacon and I do nothing.
No, you're not doing nothing. You're bringing up the children. Yeah. Well, you know what? I respect your views because we all have different views. You know, this is our culture. This is what we're supposed to do. So it's not a problem. We all have different views about it. Yeah, but okay, that's good. Thank you. We've got quite a few hands raised. Let me go. I think the first one is my namesake again. Can we unmute my namesake? Can you unmute yourself, or would they have to? Oh, just before I go to my namesake, quick one. We're going to extend by a few minutes because this is very interesting because we've got the men on board. Let's just utilize all their time as much as we can. So we'll be extending this by about 10, 15 minutes. So all right then, Yemi, are you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay.
Thank you. even if my wife was earning significantly more, like maybe 100% more.
6 figures, yeah?
Yeah. Like Laulu said, it's just the way, call it male pride, male ego.
Possibly, yeah.
It just would not allow me to now stay at home. But the first thing is, motherhood is probably the most demanding and important job ever. And if men as we are now, and we have a recollection of being men and started doing motherhood, I don't think there'll be that many babies in the world, to be honest. It's a hard job, you know, and I doff my hat. And women suffer disproportionately for taking on that role. Yeah. However, be that as it may, I can't, because my ego will get in the way. However, what in situations where I find myself having a lot of slack time from work, maybe downtime from not having contracts, like Laulu, even with or without contract, I try and do my fair share of the job, you know, household, washing the plates and all that. So, but as a man, I'm just wired that way, you know. I got to do something. I can't.
That's fine. I have a friend. Anytime my husband is out of a contract, he still would want to pay that mortgage. If it means him going to do Uber or Cabby, he will do it and he will still put that money down. So that's that's fine. Thank you so much. We've also got is it Babajide Akifenwa? Yeah, Babajide Akifenwa. Yes. Oh, hello. I think you're still on mute. Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can now. Yes, you can.
Yeah. I come from a different school of thought, which is probably the way I've sort of been influenced. I mean, first and foremost, my parents were divorced when I was around 4. And so I ended up growing up with my auntie and uncles. And they, growing up around there, both my aunties and uncles were highly educated. So it was a case of, you've got this education, you've got to utilize it, irrespective whether you're a woman or a man. And from a personal view, I would be bored to sit at home to be looking after the kids. I mean, I do look after my girls. I do help around the house. It's just second nature to me. So, and for me, I suppose I've come a long way to sort of say I've got an ego as to, I've got to, because it's the nature of how life will be in the next millennium, whereby we could be in a situation whereby we might even have more women on the planet. And in that sort of circumstance, they will earn a lot more. And, as men, we have to sort of change our mindset that could be the case, that we have to sort of, and I believe very much that is those couples that can collaborate better, that will succeed and excel. Even as we are now, it's those couples that collaborate well that achieve much. I don't want to go into my, I know we haven't got that much time.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I'll go one more hand up quickly. Mrs. Remi Alabi, yes, my co-lounge admin. Can you please unmute and Remi? Yes.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Just on this topic about, house husband, career wife, and things like that, I want us to really be real with ourselves. Yeah. Those men that say that, they wouldn't mind being the house husband and the wife going and doing their career. I think, the way God has created things, and the way things are ordered, the way God has ordered things, it is always the man that is there to be the provider and the woman is there to be the housemate. Now, I'm a great advocate of both parents bringing up their children. I'm also an advocate of both husband and wife, doing equal share of work and things like that. And I don't have a problem that maybe for a period of time, maybe the wife is earning more and the husband stays at home and things like that. But if we're to be honest with ourselves, if that is going to be the permanent position of things, personally and from experience, I don't think it makes for a very happy marriage, because the man, even if he's happy doing it at that point in time, later on he's going to resent it. He will resent, especially, and we women, the way we are wired, once we have the upper hand, more often than not, we will rub it in. I'm sorry, but that is just the nature of the way we are. So I think that, you know, yes, we should strike a balance between this and working and, you know, helping out with the children and things like that. For women, God has blessed us in such a way that there is time we can do everything. I don't think there's anything wrong with you stepping back from your career for your children for a while they're maybe very young or whatever. But later on, you are able to go back into the marketplace and catch up. It's a woman's world. Many a time, you'll even overtake the men that have been sitting down there, you know, all through. So, you know, for women, let's get the right mindset. I don't believe in this, oh, I'm a career woman, I'm not looking after any children, I'm not breastfeeding, I'm not doing all that kind of
No, I don't think that's what, it's just that sometimes if the woman is earning a lot more than the man is, sometimes.
The man too, let him go and work. Let him go and work and bring his own to the table too. Even if I'm earning more, let him bring something. Otherwise,
okay, but you know, nursery is a mortgage. It's a lot of money, and you think, okay, if we put your money, let's save the money for mortgage, and let's bring the twins. I imagine if you have triplets, and you're paying like £3,000 or more for nursery, and you think, all right, that's my salary. Let me stay. You know, go out and earn more. So it's a bit of a balance. Okay, I agree with you that women sometimes can rub things in, and oh wow, we've got loads of hands up. Okay, yes, and sometimes can rub it in, but yeah, I like your perspective. Thanks, Auntie Remy. Thank you. Oh, we've got Peter Basher on it. Yes, I would like him to come on because I saw the comment he made. Peter, can you hear me? Hello, Peter.
I can. Yeah, no, it was me that made the comment. And I think,
I saw that. We all saw that. Nice comment. Okay.
I think it's interesting because you know, I'm clearly of a different generation to most of the people. I know there are some people of my age that are on the call, and it's funny because we've actually had this conversation. You know, there's a couple of other young men who are expecting, you know, and we was just having this conversation amongst ourselves, like, if your wife is the one that is earning that money, you know, would you happily stay at home and work and take care of the child? And I think the reason why I said that comment is not because as a young man I don't have that drive or energy. Believe me, I'm a driven person, and you know, I've supported and I've looked after my family from day one, and I will always have that drive within me to do so. But I also believe that everything happens for a reason, and God, you know, puts people in different positions for a reason. If God has put, and I believe if we are speaking about this from a Christian mindset, every position that you land in, if you've really prayed about it, God has placed you there, right? So if God has placed my wife in a position of, let's say she's earning 6 figures, and by God's grace, she'll be earning six figures soon anyway. But when she gets to that position, and it's a case of, okay, do we want to, Peter, do you now want to go out and be earning, let's just give an example. Peter, do you want to be earning 4 figures, so you're earning less? Or do you want to raise your young girl at home because what is already coming in is sufficient? Then 100%, I'm you know, we are together. We are one, you know. And if we're really living out this Christian marriage, this Christian relationship, then, you know, ultimately we're not seen as, oh, she's earning more. No, we're seen as one. You know, we're seen as we are prospering as a family. It's not my wife is the prospering one, and I feel like I'm on the back foot, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, my ego won't take battering, but because we're both enjoying together, we're both enjoying our life together. And if there was to ever be a case of, once, you know, the child was older and, you know, was able to be more self-sufficient, best believe I'll be out there doing what I need to kind of do, you know. But if it's a case of raising a child, you know, and a woman finds herself in a position where she's earning more in the household, to me, it shouldn't be a problem.
Peter, I agree with you. Because it's not like you're sitting at home sometimes doing nothing. You could be studying for your second master's, your PhD, or anything. You can be doing something else. It's not like you're sitting down watching Good Morning
No, of
TV,
course, yeah.
GMTV, or
Yeah, no, of
washing the
course.
plates. Yes. So you're also gone to nursery. You're looking after, you're studying, but you're going to pick her up. Help your wife as much. Maybe just rustle up dinner before she comes home.
Oh, that would be the minimum. I will do dinner. I will, when she comes home, I will rub her feet. I will pay anything. I will do it. And it's a huge support.
Oh, you're amazing.
It's a huge support. So that's just my.
It is.
Just to add to what Peter said, right? I think there's a generational difference between like the older generations and younger generations, clearly, right? And I would say that I also grew up like somewhere right in the middle there, whereby until very recently, I pride my work is my life is my work. There's nothing like work-life balance, really, right? My old job, I loved it. I actually embodied it. It was if you ask me what are you, I will tell you my job first before I tell you every other thing, right? Now I will say I'm Tammy's husband first, but initially I'm an estate manager. I manage buildings, right? And this is my building. I will tell you not where I work. That is my building. But recently, I think the difference in perspective is just a change in mindset, right? Coming from Nigeria as well, I grew up my life in Nigeria, came here, school, went back, I don't do housework. I don't do any housework. It is not my place to do housework. Why am I doing housework? I mean, it's just not my place to do housework, right? But now, when I've come here, I've realized that if I want my family to still be a family, I have to take out the bin. There's no house up here, I have to clean the floor. My wife, don't worry, you don't want to do anyone, just don't do it. I'll keep doing it, right? Because that is the way to ensure peace. And I think that change in perspective has also helped me personally to say, and I heard the story of a man actually that his wife is the chief of staff to a bank MD in Nigeria, right? Mm-hmm. And he used to earn well, used to earn well, and she definitely ends well as chief of staff to the MD, right? Mm-hmm. But the MD is always on the road, he's always flying, right? So half of the time she's in the air with the guy traveling different countries. Mm-hmm. And the man realized one day that if my family will still remain a family, I need to quit my job. And the woman brings home the bacon, which is quite healthy for the time being. And he goes in, invests in stock markets and other things like that. And the rest of the time, he plays with his kids, takes his kids to school and stuff like that. It's not about not doing anything. It is about maybe taking, me of 2 years ago, we never considered even taking a step back so that my wife can earn the same amount as I'm earning. Never. Yeah. I will want to earn more than, because I'm competitive. But I don't think our generation, I don't think it will work in our generation if you have that mindset.
If you have that mindset, I agree with you. And sometimes when you're in Rome, you know what they say. Okay, we've got two hands more that we can take because we're going to finish soon. Okay, Ruth, do you want to quickly come on? Ruth has her hand up.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for this session.
Hello, that's all right.
It's very, very good. I was just considering in regards to like men being at home, it's good, but men do need to go to work, especially for the work environment. I work in NHS and I work with a lot of women, and it is good, but then the cattiness and the kind of like tearing down the emotions all go flying around. And I think it's important for men to be present. If you look in the Bible, a lot of men, God appointed a lot of men like Moses to kind of lead the people. So I think it's important that men don't kind of give up that duty to kind of be in the workplace and bring an impact. Even when I look at my son, when he's a bit out of control, if his dad says one word, he listens. When I say something, he's So it's kind of like men bring that authority, not just at home, but also in the workplace. So we can like need them out. And also, if we're being honest as women, when you get with your friends, you'll start saying, this man is jobless. You might be like, oh yes, he's doing the father, but you will say, oh, jobless man, useless man, this man, you can't even. So let's just be honest, men need to be out working and providing.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. All right, we've got Funke Fakir quickly. Funke, do you want to mute yourself? And then we're going to take Hakim and then, Funke, can you mute yourself?
Hello.
Hello.
Wow, this is a very interesting topic today.
I
wanted to share my story. Me and my husband, I've been in England from birth to now. My parents did not ship me off in secondary school, so I'm on my education is here. My husband, total opposites, very quaint Yoruba man. And when he joined me here, it was very, very hard for him to not have a job. So the first thing he wanted to do is just look for a job. So I was the breadwinner for major time of our early marriage. And as the years come, I'm going forward now, where I think maybe he's just about earning more now. So we made a promise to each other that money will never be a source of contention in our house. Whatever we have together, that's what we have.
Oh, amazing. That's really good. Can I quickly ask you a question? Because Auntie Remy came in and said, did you ever rub it in his face at any time, saying, "No, I've gone out all day working and the plates are still in the sink"? Did you at one point say that by mistake?
I think that at the beginning, I think when we moved into our first place, because when he joined me, our place was not ready. So we lived in my mom's place. So we were living in my bedroom. So when we moved into our new place, he would say, he said, he ate and left the plate on the table. Said, can you please, take your plates to the kitchen and wash it? He said, it will not allow the food to go down properly. And that was the end. I said, is it worth us arguing about a plate?
Yeah.
And that's the last time I brought it up. That's something I can stomach. Washing the plate, it doesn't take anything from me. So that was the end of that. That's all. But money was never going to be something that we were going to argue with.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. So we got one last person, Hakim Lawson. Hakim, hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening, welcome.
Hi. Yes, I've got two takes on it. I don't know if you can all hear me.
Two quick takes, thank you, yes.
Yeah, absolutely quick takes. And this is all to do with my experience.
Okay.
As I was growing up, I was raised like a house boy, not with my parents, but with my parents' siblings. So I've always known to always serve other people. Now, I've now grown up, come over, and it's now gotten to a stage where I said to the missus, if you earn more than me, this is vocal, we've said it, I don't mind sitting at home. But then, and I asked myself, are you sure? Can you do this? The answer I came up with, not 100% sure, because I'm thinking, if I don't go to work, I will lose it.
Yeah.
If I don't go out of the house, how can I de-stress?
Yeah.
There is no book for this thing. How do I learn how to do? I don't listen. I will sit down at home and do all these things, but guess what? Are we wired to do it? It might sound sexist or patriarchal, but I'm just saying from my own experience.
Yeah.
It's by the grace of God, but are we as men wired to do these things that God has given the women grace to do? Because people might think it. I was brought up in a certain way. I don't like being served because of my experience, but helping with stuff in the house, I can do, but am I doing enough? Would I be able to sit down at home maybe not 24/7, but as sitting at home and taking care of the kids, and the missus go to work if she's any more than me? I'm not sure about the answer. I vocally say yes, because I need the money. Yes, we need the money, but would my mind take it? It's about stepping out of the house, being the breadwinner, even if your bread is smaller than your wife. Yeah. Even if your bread is smaller, you still want to go out and come back and feel like I'm a breadwinner. You're not really a breadwinner, just bring small bread. The white bread is bigger. But it's just a mental thing for me. That's how I think.
Can I interrupt you a minute? You don't
Yes,
think there's a bit of an ego thing there?
You call it ego. I call it something that I have been.
No, I'm not saying it is an ego. I'm just wondering, do you think it is? Because I'm just saying if your wife is earning 6 figures and you're only on about 22K or something, I know it's still something because no money is useless. Of course, every penny counts.
So now the question,
so are you ready to settle? Yeah,
no, the question we're going to ask is money over my mental health. I think we should choose the money for now.
Okay.
Because like I said, I'm not 100%. I'm kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Like 100% at this stage in my life, I would need the missus money if it's 6 figures.
Yeah.
But then I know that what I'm feeling is not ego. It's something in my mindset. I will feel less of a man. And that's a personal thing.
Okay.
It's not an ego thing. It's about,
that makes sense.
Okay, for the missus to earn that much money that I genuinely know we need it in the house. I genuinely need. Pride will not let me say, no, that's ego, that's pride. I'll sit at home, don't earn the money, madam. But guess what? I am suffering. I will be suffering.
That's true. That's true. You shouldn't suffer.
That's my own thing. Did you just say I should suffer?
You should. No.
I wanted to say you don't know me, but you don't like me.
No, you should suffer. Suffer. No. You should suffer.
But I'm just saying, it's a thing that my mind probably will be at. I'll be suffering somewhere, but I will just be thinking, oh yeah, she's earning money. Okay, let me suffer more. Or I'll probably be looking for something to do to get rid of that thing that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I enjoyed you coming on. Thank you. Oh, we've got a couple of more hands. I don't know where PJ is, if we can extend for another 5-10 minutes. Okay, Maiwa, you've got your hand up. Do you want to give a quick one? Because I have one last question for the panelists before they go. So go on, Maiwa. Are you, PJ, is that you, PJ?
Yes, this is me.
Okay, PJ, can we go 5-10 minutes more?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
It's a combo now, so we can.
It's the combo. Okay, sorry guys, I had to get that from my Oga at the top. So yes, we can go a few more times. All right then, Maiwa, you're going to say something.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I'm a little bit perplexed by the fact that we are saying that women are catty. I feel like it's so unhealthy and toxic that we as women are even out here saying that, oh, all women, or categorically saying that all women are catty. I grew up in a household where my mum was the breadwinner, and I never, ever experienced a time where my mum had ever made my dad feel less of a man or ever rubbed it in his face that he was making more than him. Like, I never grew up in that space ever. And in my mum's side of the family, the women did predominantly well than their husbands did. And to the point that even some husbands treated their wives terribly, even though the woman was submissive and given everything she earned.
That's correct.
So for me, hearing that narrative, I am really like, wow, this is shocking. So I grew up in the sense of like my dad always praising my mum. And even till this very day, on the altar, my dad talks about what an amazing woman my mum is and how she supported him through every business venture, through everything in life, even when they had nothing. And she was the one that was earning more. So it's not all women that are catty and will sit down and rub it in a man's face that is not earning enough or is not doing well enough for himself. And I feel like we really need to correct that. It's extremely toxic to be putting that out there and making men feel like, oh, if your wife is earning more than you, she will always talk down at you. Not all women are raised like that.
That's true. That's not necessarily the case. Yeah,
that's not necessarily the case. Some might have been,
no,
but not all women are. I believe this woman called I've forgotten her first name, but her last name was Awoshika. You have strong, powerful women like that we've invited over to the church. That's the name. Who's come and they've inspired young women, and they're showing us how you can go out there and you can get so much for yourself and achieve so much. I don't know how well her husband is doing, but she's doing extremely and exceptionally well for herself. And it's so sad that we are still saying women will be catty if they're earning more than their men. I'm sorry, if I am earning more than my husband, baby, sit at home. My money is our money. Your money is our money. It should go both ways. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I really just disagree.
I agree with you, Maiwa. But there's some men that are also horrible to women when they earn all the money. They're very horrible to women. I know of someone that they both work. So when the woman's salary goes directly to the man's account, then out of her salary, he gives her pocket money to maintain herself. So when she got a bonus once at work, she told her boss if she could please not add her bonus to the salary because the husband takes everything. He only gives her like 20% of the money. So I think being horrible goes both ways. A man can be equally be horrible to a woman if he earns more, and the woman can also be horrible as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Oh, we've got a couple of hands up again. Adegoke Adegbite. Do you want to unmute yourself? Adejoke, sorry, Adejoke Adegbite. Can we unmute you? Hi, Joke. Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay. Hello, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone that has contributed to this. I just have a little question for people that were saying that they could not stay at home. Say, for example, the man loses his job and is the only person that is working is the woman. So how do you deal with that? Because circumstance has put you in that position. It's not the fact that, okay, yes, you volunteered to stay at home.
I think that was slightly different. I think it's slightly different. The question was, would you pull away from a good striving career?
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying if we flip the coin now and then the man loses job based on the conversation we've been having and the man loses the job. So and instead of, them going and it's difficult to get another job and there is a child care to pay for the children. So in that position, what will you do? Will you now say, okay, because you can't stay at home, you won't, obviously you've lost your job. So what will be the reaction?
Okay, I don't know if the host is still there, but can I just respond to that very quickly? It's been interesting, and I wish this could go on for maybe another hour. We're not done with it. But I think we should not conflate issues. Taking a step back in order to put family first and maybe earn less is completely different from a man doing zero, just basing the children, putting them in school, coming back home, watching TV all day, then do school runs in the afternoon, and then do dinner before the wife gets back, and not being zero productivity, Peter gave an example of, I think, was it Peter, somebody said about maybe doing a master's and another PhD. Oh, absolutely. That's working. That's being productive. I've twice in my own life had to recalibrate my life to put my children first. Moving back to Nigeria from here, living a thriving career in the city, I put my children first. I earned substantially less to do that in 2008. And then even coming back to live in England now, so that my children can have the best, I left a lot of good things behind. So men can always take a step back. I think the point we're trying to make is a man should not aspire to zero productivity just in the name of, I want to look after my children. By all means, a wife can earn more. By all means, I don't think any man would be unhappy if his wife was making a lot of money. But I don't think it is in us as men to then want to sit back, earn zero, and be excited about it. And like Mrs. Alabi was saying, at some point, it would backfire. It will backfire. The woman is doing all of this work, bringing back all of this our money, and we're all fine, we're doing well. And then the other perspective I was thinking about was, what image, what impression would that man who is not really doing zero work be living on his children, both male and female alike? That daddy is home watching TV whilst everybody else, children go to school and mommy goes to work. And daddy has watched the complete series of Succession before everybody else because it's always on Netflix. No. But if daddy was doing another master's or a PhD in the interim, And then by the time the children finish primary school, whatever the re-engagement point is, he comes back with a doctorate to go into the, he's heading for the C-suite straight away. And he's at the top of his profession again. So I don't think a man should do zero.
Yeah.
That's
I think for our host seems to have had some technical issues. Yemi, I'm sure she'll be logging back in at some point. But PJ will step in and take us through the remainder of the meeting. But I just want to very quickly chip in, Laulu, on the back of what Laulu was saying. And I want to try and answer it from Tunji's question. Tunji Yumi's asked the question in the chat. It says, I'm more interested in the fatherhood aspect of these and how it can affect family dynamics, especially as it concerns the kids. What do we as men need to be aware of in this day and age as far as our duties as fathers are concerned? And I think that question encapsulates the points we're discussing here. Let's not examine the outlier cases, okay? I mean, Mayowa gave a very good example, but what Mayowa did not say, in part of what she said, is our father was pastoring the church, and the church was probably in its infancy. So it was not working. It's just that the church was not earning enough money for him to be able to support the family financially. That's a partnership. Yeah. I think the difference here is that, and we're speaking, let's never forget that this is a gathering of African people. We're not Caucasians. So our value system, our world outlook, what the family say, I mean, what will your family say when they hear that your wife is the one that's feeding you at home and you're doing nothing? You're a house husband. They will start talking. That's just our reality, regardless of the ages. And as we deliberated on these, I went to the Bible, because we must always take everything back to the Bible. And 1 Timothy 5:8 says, if anyone does not provide for his own household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. I do not believe the Bible was using a co-gender here where it can be he, she. So I believe the Bible's standard is that the man should provide for his house. And I believe as much as is within us, we should strive to do that. Now, when we then have circumstances that require us to call upon our helpmates, which is our wife, to support us, all well and good. So rounding up my comments, if the case is a £22,000 earner versus the £100,000 earner, so let the £22,000 be used for holidays. It's still income. And in any case, that means the household income is £122,000. You can afford daycare.
Absolutely.
But there is something about the man going out there and doing, as against sitting home and being babied, if you like. And that is really where I stand. PJ.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. This has been really engaging. Thank you for being vulnerable with all of those examples. And I hope you are hearing one another. We're not at war with one another, in whether we're single, whether we're married. It is that we need to understand that God has put each and every one of us into our lives to help us to be better people and to live better lives. Yemi is having some technical issues, so I will step in. I can see one hand up here. I think it's Angie. Angie, so if you unmute yourself and then add your voice to the conversation. Yes.
Thank you, PJ. Good evening, everyone. It's been very interesting, the conversation so far. But to quote one of Miles Monroe's very classic phrases, he says, the first thing that God gave the man was work, and the first thing that God gave the woman was a family to look after. And so I think that going back to the beginning and the foundations of how things are supposed or were supposed to be, it's always good to kind of keep that perspective. Having said that, we live in a fallen world and things are the way they are now, with a lot of women kind of getting ahead in their careers. So, and these are real life situations that people are living through. So it's really good that we're talking about it. The question to me that I think it's still unresolved in my mind, and with the with the man that shared, I think just maybe two conversations ago, about how he can do it, stay at home, but in his mind, he will feel some type of way. I wonder what we want to say into that, because that's a real thing. People are going through this, the women are earning more, the men are staying at home. But for the man that feels some kind of way, doing that, thinking, and I should be doing more, I feel less, I feel this, what can we do as Christian African people? Is there a support group? Are you supposed to be listening to music more? Are you supposed to be, is your wife supposed to be sharing more with you to kind of alleviate that feeling? And for the woman who earns more for a while, I've been there. And it in the beginning, I was always kind of tired, and, you know, it wasn't a big deal because it was our money, but there was still some kind of, a couple of things that will come up and make you feel some kind of way. What are the practical coping mechanisms to still just kind of not make this a big deal if we're having to go through that? I haven't really kind of heard a lot about that. If you find yourself in that situation, not by choice, and you're having to just go through it for a season, what should we be doing?
Okay, thank you, Angie. Okay, I want to assume that maybe Yemi wants to say something on that, and then I can say something on that. Yes. Yemi,
thank you, PJO. Thank you very much. Quick one for me is, I think the first thing is women's expectation as well. What do women want from men? Because you can't eat your cake and have it, or have your cake and have it. On the one hand, a lot of our life, they want somebody, a male man who's going to be dominant, who's going to be the male, who's going to be the head. And at the same time, they want him. So what exactly do you want? You know, you can't have it both ways. You know, you can't have it both ways. It doesn't work that way. Something's got to give. But more to the point of the coping mechanism for men, I think it comes to just knowing that this is also a season, and having that belief in yourself that it is a season, and you will come through this. Because even if you're not at home looking after them, there'll be challenges in life. So just knowing that it's a season and you will come over this, and it's for a short time or it's for a while. You know, it doesn't make you less of a man, yeah, because it's for your family. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Yemi. You're right. Okay, so women, ladies on the platform, Yemi asked a question for us. It says, what do you women want from men? You know, unfortunately, I don't think we can finish this conversation. This is like 5:33. We have over 6:33.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I don't want us to do a part 2. I don't know how we'll do this. Have a conversation
on
that.
Thank you,
because
PJ.
it looks like this is something that
we
really need to talk about, to trash out. So I think we will have a discussion and we'll come back to you guys. Maybe this is something we'll be doing. We have a talk in church as men, women. Yeah, that's. But Angie, for that question, number one is that I didn't think that we can use one brush to paint everyone. You know, I believe that this is an individual thing. If you have a husband that struggles with staying at home, whatever the circumstance, I think the wife should understand that that is the way the man is wired. So I was saying to PYO when somebody was talking about mental health, I have to go out. I said, it is the same for me. You know, I'm not somebody that can stay at home consistently. So even if it is 10 pounds they're paying me there, the fact that I can go engage with other adults, do something with my brain and I will go for it. Now that is me. Some people are happy to be in the house, look after, they can do stuff on their laptop, on whatever, engage in some other way, but I have to engage with human beings, you know, adults. Yes, so I have to do that. So when my children were little and I was not working for a period of 2 years, I used to go to the playground those churches where they have those short sessions for children to engage with other parents, So you have to understand that is the way your husband or your wife is so wired and work. And don't think it's an ego thing. It is a personal, it's a personality of the person. And you have to understand that it's not to talk them down, it's not to compare them to other people. This person is doing it. If it doesn't work for him or her, it's not working. And you want peace in your space. So I think it is something that you have to talk about and agree on, and just graciously allow. Now I think Yemi is back. It says okay, Yemi is back, but at this point I don't think I can ask any other question because we have overrun megally. I want to say a huge thank you to our panelists, Lalu, Deji, and PYO right here next to me. Thank you so very much. And our facilitator, Yemi, well done.
Sorry, my internet went. I'm back. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm saying thank you. So you can round it up. For everyone that has joined us today via the YouTube, Facebook, and even here, I can see some names that I don't usually say. Thank you so very much. Men, we celebrate you. We honor you. We appreciate you. We know that there's a lot, right? There's a lot. There's a lot both ways. And we're working through this. And I know that by the grace of God, we will overcome everything. Yes.
We have some viewers on YouTube. Thank you for joining us as well. It's so good.
Thank you.
If you do, Yemi and PJs, maybe once a quarter, let's have these sessions. It does help. And maybe you can ask some of the men for topics sometimes, and you guys come up with topics. Well, you did an excellent job, and we have enjoyed this.
Ladies, you're not posting what you want. We have 2 minutes. Just post what.
Any questions for the men?
Yemi says, what do you want from men?
They want us to be nice.
So we celebrate you. Yemi, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to personally thank everybody for joining this session. Everyone that has joined, you're all very special. But I really like to thank Laolu. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much, Deji, for sharing, your lives with us. But the father in the house, I'm so honored to have my PYO on here. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining us. You've made it very, very interesting. We need to have more of this. We definitely would have more of this. So thank you, everybody. God bless and have a lovely and fruitful week. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.